The Deal News Podcast, episode 255 for April 24th, the penultimate one. I am joined by Lewis and Dan. Hey, fellas.
Hey,
Jeff.
was that a gong that I just heard?
No, I hit my mic stand.
Oh,
Okay.
at the time it was so like exactly just like the penultimate. I had a gong. I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah, you might have to beef that sound up when you mix this down.
I thought it was a guitar chord, like someone was in the back, but a gong. That's more accurate. So I like that. We should have.
It's like the Gong Show.
And I'm sorry we have to leave. We've been gonged. Good night, everyone.
Thank you for coming.
All right, this is our penultimate episode, and the actual meaning of that word means second to last. So yes.
Oh, is that what that means?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
Yep. It's funny. I used to do an audio comedy with a friend of mine, and it was called People Radio Theater, the penultimate radio comedy. And we would get so many people writing in, and by so many I mean like 2 or 3, writing in to say, I think you mean ultimate radio comedy. And I would invariably have to write back and be like, no, we're a comedy radio show. We know. Thank you.
That's humor right there.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why you've never heard of People Radio Theater, because it was that level of comedy that brought the world to its knees. All right, so let's see. Before we get on with the news stories of the day, we have a follow-up. Last week, when I was talking to you, Dan, who had installed Facebook Home. Actually, do you still have Facebook Home installed?
I do, and actually am about ready to knock it off my phone.
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised you left it on for so long, honestly.
Well, I was... Honestly, it was a sacrifice for the podcast.
Oh, well, all right. So after a week then of using it, nonstop because you're forced to once you install it, did you grow to like it any more than you did last week?
No, not at all.
Previously on the podcast, harp noise, and I'll put in the clip here. I won't put in the clip. That's too much.
You should. I thought that'd be good.
No,
I thought, okay, I just need to stay with it, stay the course, learn to embrace it, learn to enjoy its many features, bugs, and all the other things that it has. You know what? And honestly, it's just getting in the way for me. It's like it's one more thing that I have to get out of to get where I need to go.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I mean it's like your phone auto boots into Facebook, and if you don't want to do Facebook at that moment,
right,
then everything else is an extra step because you have to come out of it to go back into something else. Whereas if you go just into your phone and you have your apps there and you click on it and there you are.
I mean, thank goodness, at the bottom of the screen I've got
it went off
when it turns on. It's got like stuff for my text messaging, my phone, camera, and email. Because if it wasn't for that, it would take like almost 1, 2, 3, like 3 extra clicks to get to where I need to go.
I am hearing a lot of echo coming from. Does someone have their speakers on? I know this is our second to last episode, and I shouldn't bring it up because after in like a week it's not going to matter. But just
no speakers here.
Not me.
Maybe it's me this whole time. I don't know. Is everyone's headphones plugged in?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, peek behind the curtain there for our listeners, viewers, because I'm not editing that out. Anyway, the follow-up was that last week I had asked Dan about chat heads, and which is another feature function of Facebook Home. And what it does is it puts this little floating icon of people you're currently Facebook chatting with on your homepage for you, at least in Android. In iOS, you have to. Should I show yours, Dan?
Oh, you can if you want. Yeah.
I guess I should have been holding mine up too. Let's see. Where can you see? Is it blurry? Why isn't it focusing?
It's a little blurry.
Refocus, camera. Refocus. Let's see. Is this? Can you see? Oh man.
Kinda. I could kind of make out my icon over there in the corner.
It's this little floating deedly bop right here. See, and you can move it around and go.
Oh, look at that! I didn't know you could move it.
You can grab it.
You can move it.
Zzz. and then if you want to get rid of it, you drop it down there and it goes away. But yeah, so essentially what it does is it adds a floating chat room. Bloop.
That's
On
kind of
top.
cool.
Yeah, you can't even see what we're chatting about. It's probably for the best. I think it just says chat heads. So really what it does is it gives you this little floating chat head, chat room icon on top of your home screen. Have you guys had a chance to use that at all?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
No.
not really.
Yeah.
Here's what it looks like on iOS.
Oh, there you go.
Oh.
You get that little right there. There it is.
See,
Oh.
your camera focuses all very nicely. Mine.
That's gonna
just
put it
like,
right on it.
See what that looks like? Looks great, doesn't it?
Does mine look good? No. Well, there you go. Yeah, I guess
yours
it
is all
kind
right.
of
Yeah.
sort of focuses.
Yeah. So anyway, it gives you immediate availability to friends to chat with, and I'll have to say that I have been using it a lot, but maybe in kind of an ironic way. I'm not sure if I'm actually finding it useful to have a chat head there or not, but I certainly have been using it a lot.
Do you like it?
It's another form of chat. I mean, I could just be easily tap the Google Voice button and send a message that way.
Right.
I mean, I guess the advantages that it has over regular Google Voice on my phone is that Google Voice can't send photos. It knocks them out. So anyone who tries to send me a picture text,
Right.
I never receive it. And then they're always like, "Oh, did you get that photo?" And I'm
Oh.
like, "No, still can't receive picture text." So by switching to something like Messenger, I can send pictures back and forth that way. But I could also do that on Google Plus Messenger or any of the seemingly thousands of chat replacement apps that they have out there. So I don't know. Overall, it's neat to have this little floating. I'm playing with it right now by just like wee, this little floating chat thing that you can move around. But I don't know how useful.
It's like Fruit Ninja with less violence.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's fruit that you just move around your screen,
Right.
just kind of never really cutting it apart. So that was an exciting update about chat heads. We've left it kind of ambiguous of how we feel about it, and we'll tell the consumer to download it if you can. Why not? It might be fun. You never know. All right, let's see. Our first story here is kind of along the lines of Facebook Home. This is about how it is being adopted by people. Lewis, you want to clue us in on that?
Yeah, so I guess Facebook Home was announced April 12th or around that time frame, and so far Facebook has said that it's been downloaded 500,000 times, which when you first say it, I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, but when you compare that to Instagram, which got, I think, 1 million downloads within 24 hours, Facebook Home was actually not so hot, especially also considering how many people use Facebook. The fact that they only got 500,000 downloads is pretty, it's actually pretty weak. And people are also getting complaints about the app. Like you said, Dan, they're complaining that, it makes you have to dig further into your phone before you want to use something. Some people are saying it's draining their battery, which is,
Really?
that's something, I don't know if
No, I haven't experienced that.
Well, I mean, essentially, if it's an app that's running all the time, on top of the OS that's running all the time,
right?
I could imagine that would drain your battery.
Interesting.
And it has to constantly be checking for those messages to be pushed to it. You
Yeah,
know?
that's true as well.
So
It's almost like having a live wallpaper. Remember that first came out? People were like, oh, it's going to drain your battery. It's going to drain your battery. So yeah, it's gotten a mediocre reception at best. Facebook Home.
Well, is it a bit disingenuous to compare it to Instagram? I mean, Instagram was already on a very popular platform, the iPhone, so it already had word of mouth going for it before it was ported over to Android, thus leading to 1 million downloads and installs in one day. Whereas this is a completely new type of thing, Facebook Home. It's not available anywhere, and it's only available on 4 phones, 5 phones, something like that. So I don't know. With taking that in mind, is 500,000 sound better, knowing that it's a whole new product and only available on a select, very narrow band of phones? I don't know.
I think it's still pretty weak because look at Samsung's numbers. I'm just looking at one phone, right? The Samsung Galaxy S3, I believe. That's one of the. I mean, that phone sold millions.
That's right.
And so a lot of people have it. I guess they're just not they're just not downloading it for whatever reason.
Well, I would think you would have to. You would have to even break that down further to how many of those people are avid Facebook users, and so on, and kind of drill down that way to get a fair estimation. I mean, 500,000 is not horrible.
Yeah,
by
that's
any-
nothing to sneeze at.
And at the same time, I agree with you, Lewis, that compared to an Instagram type application, I guess maybe it's because it does such a hostile takeover of your phone's environment that kind of freaks people out a little bit. I know that was my first impression, was like, oh, good Lord, how am I gonna get to the phone?
Yeah, it is kind of interesting, I guess, say, like, if you take it from that perspective, like Lewis said, it's available on the S3, which is a very popular phone. Then, if it were good enough, people would install it just to try it, so that download number would be much higher. So 500,000 is the people who have installed it, and I wonder how many of those have since uninstalled it. So the number of people using it is actually even much lower than that.
Right.
Which I think that becomes a scathing indictment of what Facebook is doing.
Right.
You know, overall, I still think it's a better plan than them releasing Facebook hardware phone.
Right.
You know, I think maybe over time, once it gets to more phones, they'll see a wide enough base. But I don't know if it does stay down that low once it gets to all the other phones. Do you think they're just going to abandon it?
I don't think they'll abandon it, because I think they've. All right, I'll just say it. I think they're too arrogant to abandon it.
Yeah.
I think what they'll do is just like what we were talking about earlier, is they'll keep sending out updates, keep re-releasing it, modifying it, hopefully listening to the user feedback to see what people actually want out of it,
Right.
and then fix it and make it something that's more palatable. I mean, honestly, as soon as we're done with not this podcast, the last podcast next week, I'm gonna take it off.
Right.
Yeah, it's going out the window right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to the Google Play Store and you look at the reviews, out of 12,400 reviews, it's gotten a 2.2 rating, average rating, which is pretty painful. And just looking at a couple of reviews, like, needs a lot of work, not as great as I thought, it's okay,
Wow.
Come on, people, give it a try. I mean, you get like a good mix of I hate it, I love it,
I wonder what the uninstall rate is.
Yeah, that I don't think we would ever know,
Right.
And that's what I'm thinking. If it has such low reviews, then clearly it has less than 500,000 users. But how low is it? Is it like half attrition? And what to Facebook would signify a failure? Like if 1 out of every 2 people that install it leave. Like, at what point, how many people per install need to leave in order for them to reevaluate going forward with this? Or do they have enough hubris to someday think, well, we're going to phase out the regular Facebook app and only offer Facebook Home? Do you think they would ever do that?
Ooh, wow.
That would be interesting.
I don't know.
No, I don't see him doing it. I don't see him doing that. I mean, well, no, let me take that back.
At least not in the near future. I don't see them doing that. I think what they're going to do is that I think they're going to keep the app. They're going to listen to all the comments, the good and the bad, and they're just going to try to keep tweaking it. And, I think, Jeff, you mentioned that they were going to do a release or an update every month. Yeah, so every month they're going to say, like, all right, these complaints, we're going to address them on this update. These complaints for the next. And I think they're just going to keep refining it. And maybe down the line, they will say, like, okay, this is the only way to get on Facebook on your mobile. Maybe, but I don't see that in the near future, though.
It would be insidious, yeah.
I'm wondering if maybe what will happen is they'll follow Microsoft's route and do, when they release, like, say, Vista or Windows 7, that you can, there's like an XP setting that you can throw on there. So I'm wondering if they'll do the same thing with Facebook. It's like you can go to Facebook Classic and, the same interface that you've known and loved for all those years.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the future portends for it, but right now it's certainly a rocky future, especially with that number of installs, and you have to assume that a lot of them aren't keeping it on its phone like you, Dan, So, I don't know. I guess we're going to have to see once they make it available to more phones if it starts getting more positive feedback when they start updating it, if it gets more positive feedback, I don't know. Maybe it will gain momentum, or maybe we're going to see it crash, So that all has to happen by next week for our last episode.
I know. That's a lot of pressure for Facebook.
It is.
They could do it.
If you're listening,
get on it.
Give us some stock in Facebook. I'm not going to waste it on telling him to make his app better. If I have the ear of Mark Zuckerberg, I'm going to ask for something better. Like a
just 100,000 shares. That's all I want.
Yeah, that's it.
A diamond car.
Yeah, a diamond car. I'm not asking a lot. I'm not asking.
Yeah, he can afford that.
All right, I guess slow news week this week maybe, but to me the big news of the week was Twitter #music, or however you say that. Twitter,
I saw that.
Twitter music. So, have you guys had a chance to investigate this thing at all?
What is the point of it? That's my question.
That's what I was going to ask you guys. So you go to music.twitter.com and it pops up this list of popular music. It says new music trending on Twitter, and let's see, you scroll down, and right now it's giving me 140 songs that people are talking about on Twitter that are hot. I guess they either by hashtags or by the name of the song or the name of the artist or whatever. And it ranks these in order of popularity, and little squares that you can choose to retweet it to your fans, or you can click to play a sample of it. And all the samples are the short samples through iTunes. Yeah. So I mean, you can listen to like samples of the songs that are hot, but then you click on the Play Full Tracks button on the top, and it says, well, in order to play full tracks, you can integrate this with Spotify or Rdio. Or is that how you say it? Radio, Rdio?
Rdio, yeah.
So I did that because I'm like, well, playing clips of these songs isn't really doing me much. It's not really adding much value to this. So I signed up to have this hook into Spotify, and in the end, it gave me a pop-up that said, you will need to upgrade to a premium Spotify account to play full tracks. So I linked Twitter to my Spotify and get nothing out of it.
Oh, Can you unlink it?
I haven't looked into that yet, but I'm sure somewhere in the privacy or
so that's a feature that you have to pay more for.
Right. But according to their FAQ or FAQ, it says to listen to full tracks on music.twitter.com, you can log in with any subscription on Rdio or an unlimited or premium subscription on Spotify. Okay. So if I sign up for Rdio and link it through to
then you'll be able to listen to the full track.
Right. But
here's the thing. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, in theory, it sounds like a great idea, because you could be listening to something in Spotify and listen or look at the artist's Twitter feed off to the side.
Yeah.
Can you? Is that true?
I don't think so.
I think it should be. I'm going to tweet that right now.
Yeah, tweet it.
Here's what you need to do, Taylor Swift.
And I haven't. Yeah. Don't get involved with her. She'll write a song about you.
I know.
There is a thing down at the bottom that says for artists, and I haven't really had a chance to go through everything, but it's kind of like how artists can ensure that their music gets like synced into this whole system and whatever like that. But I don't know how it works. Is there going to come a time where artists are going to start naming their songs after popular trending hashtags, in order to get them like boosted up or something like that? Like, oh, my new hit song "Follow Friday" is going to be a hit every week for the next, for the rest of the time.
Well, I'm telling you, man, Taylor Swift should have done that with that Screaming Goat mashup that somebody did with her video.
Yeah, you just call it #Screaming
Goat.
Next thing you know,
have you seen that, Lewis?
Yeah, I have.
It's brilliant. I'm going to use that as my ringtone, I think.
So my other question is anyone really going to make Twitter or music.twitter.com a destination to check out what is trending in the Twitter music space? Like, how valuable is that to music listeners? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, how valuable is this information to feed back to the audience that is using Twitter?
I don't think it's valuable to the audience at all. I think it's more valuable to the record companies than the artists.
Right. Agreed.
Because I think this is their way of like seeing, I got like 127,000 clicks from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. or something like that, or whatever metrics they use to look at, what's moving, what's hot for them at that moment. So I don't know.
Right.
So essentially what you're saying is that Twitter invested all this money to build Twitter music, and it's really only going to be used by corporations
Yeah,
to see how well
absolutely.
their songs are doing, and not really the users. Because honestly, I don't think on any given day I would be like, let me see what's trending musically on Twitter, and go to
Right.
music.twitter.com, a unique URL. Would you guys ever check this page
No.
out had I
No.
not added it to the show notes?
I checked it out about a week ago.
Oh yeah.
When they
first
announced
came-
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
when they announced it, I went there and I looked at it and I went, okay, it looks kind of like Windows 8 for music.
Yeah.
So I immediately wanted to get out of there. But no. I mean, see, this is what I was talking about before. If they could work with Spotify or Pandora or something where it was integrated into that, then I might be a little more interested. Like something off the side says, hey, here's what's trending on Twitter right now. Just a single column of music, and say, here's what Rihanna says about her latest song, blah, blah, blah. Something that at least not only gives me the information, but it also allows me to interact with the artist in some form or another.
Yeah, like along those lines, Dan, I could see there being value in Twitter scraping this information and porting it as a playlist over to Audio or Spotify, so that I can then click and say, well, let me hear what's trending on Twitter, to kind of crowdsource my music and see. Well, I would only be seeing what is super popular, not good, just super popular the world around, and it would be an interesting playlist to listen to that I can then choose to make musical decisions based on. But in order for that to happen, music.twitter.com doesn't need to exist. All of this can happen. Like, the value of music.twitter.com can all happen behind the scenes and be served to me in different ways, is what I'm saying. And I guess there's also tabs, so you can look at popular music that's trending, emerging music that's trending. I don't know what that is. I said twending because it's Twitter.
You did say twending. I like it. That's good.
And let's see, suggested, so I could see artists I might like. You guys should all click on that tab if you aren't.
I'm kind of afraid to.
Because mine is blank.
I don't even see the tabs.
On the top left, where it says popular.
Oh, right.
Oh, I see.
If you click on that, it has a pull down. Click on the suggested.
Oh, artists I follow.
Yeah. What? Let's see. And now I'll do.
Let me see.
Let's see.
Suggested. You have to sign in for the suggested.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Actually, no. I'm getting an error. I'm getting an error on suggested.
It's redirecting me. I just signed in. Here we go. Okay, there's Dan Leadbetter.
Yeah, in order to use these other tags, you have to sign in with your Twitter account so that they can scrape your account to give you suggestions. Do you have anything suggested? Because I don't.
I don't have anything suggested. It's just showing the two bands that I follow.
Right. Well, is that?
I'm checking it. I'm checking it because I've tweeted music before, so let's see what they suggest to me.
Because I click on me, and it shows me one
there's
artist I
suggested.
follow.
Here we go. Sorry, I was in the wrong. Wow.
Oh, do you have?
I've got like about 3, like a huge selection. What is this?
Really?
Marillion, Jolly Band. I've never heard of them. Adrenaline Mob.
Wow.
Porcupine Tree. Now I would listen to them because
That's a cool name.
Poets of the Fall. That sounds like a good one. Sonata Arctica.
So would you, since you do have suggested people popping up, which I do not.
Yeah, I got 0.
Would you ever consider like taking these suggestions then, Dan?
Yeah, because some of them, like I was just noticing, like Apocalyptica. I don't know if you've ever heard them. They're like a cello group that does Metallica covers.
Oh yeah, okay,
yeah, they're great. So I would hit that up.
Well, but then you don't need the
Aguilera.
suggestion. You knew about it already.
But they suggested Christina Aguilera, Usher. Why would you suggest that?
Well, they're universal appeal. I mean, who doesn't like Xtina?
Yeah,
Xtina.
Isn't that how it's pronounced? I'm not sure. I'm very old.
It's Chris, like Chris Cross, I think is what it is.
Yeah, right. I get it.
Who do I got here? Kelly Osbourne. That's good. Yeah. All right, not a lot.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. I guess I don't know. Maybe people who are way more into music than I am will get some value out of it, but I just do not see. I do not see.
Yeah, it was a letdown for me because I remember the night before it was on a couple of blogs. They're like, "Oh, Twitter's making a big announcement tomorrow.
Yeah.
We think it's going to be about music." And I think they made the announcement on Good Morning America, or I think they were
Wow.
on the news on one of the morning news programs, and they announced it. Twitter music, blah blah
Yeah.
blah. That night I checked it out, and I was like, "What's the point of this again?" And then
Yeah.
I never looked back at it again, to
Yeah.
be honest.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe if they had like integrated it so that I didn't have to sign up for Spotify, but I got like a couple of free listens or something.
Right.
But
Right. I
don't
think that's
know.
the problem. Like, I would love for there to exist some sort of service where you can get recommendations from your friends on be it music, movies, TV shows, whatever, and where you could just simply like click whatever link they have and you could see a clip
Yeah.
of the movie or
Right.
hear the full song or whatever. But the thing is, the way it's working right now, in particular with Twitter Music, it's like, they'll put the Spotify or the audio link, and if I'm not signed up for
Right.
either of those services, I'm not going to hear the song. And
Right.
at the same time, I don't want to sign up to, like, let's say, Audio, because I already have an account with Spotify, and then I'm just going to end up with a million different accounts just to hear one song.
Yeah,
you know?
essentially what this music.twitter.com is doing is making that a worse problem, because now people that do have that integration will see so many more things if they go to this landing page and tweet it out, and then us as their friends will see that they posted something, a music link, and click on it and realize that we can't hear it.
Right.
Right.
So whereas before it was people doing that from Spotify or on their own maybe, now more people will be doing it, I think. They need to work on that integration.
Right. I don't think anybody has gotten it right. I mean, Lala had a good thing going with the way they were doing it, but then we all know how that ended.
Right.
iTunes tried it too. What was it called? iTunes Follow, I think, or something along those lines.
Oh yeah. It was.
And that kind of tanked, I think, because people also weren't buying from iTunes because it's too expensive. I'd be curious if Amazon were to ever do something like that and see if that were to work out. But
I'm telling you right now, what's going to happen is whoever can figure out the link between Facebook, Twitter, Spotify, any other music services, and roll it all into one to where everything can be accessed and shared and in one central location is going to be the winner.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think Facebook wants to do that with Twitter, and Spotify probably doesn't want to do it with anybody else. It's gonna be a mess for quite some time.
I predict America Online will make a comeback.
Right. See, what we need to have no competition, so that we only have one social network and one music network, and then it'll be okay, because then they'll all be in collusion with each other.
So
but
we
as
call
stands-
it socialist media.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Click to share what we want you to share.
Yes.
When you think about it, that's something Google could have so easily, except they don't have the social part.
Yeah.
Well, they have Google Plus, but I mean, like, it doesn't have that, mass population that Facebook does, because Google has YouTube, and YouTube is a destination. At least for me, YouTube is a huge destination for music, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and and that's where I cannot believe Google has dropped the ball. I mean, I'm sorry, Jeff, but Google Plus is like, it could be something absolutely amazing, because
you don't post on it.
I don't.
Your problem.
Here's the thing.
Every one of you listening to my voice, that is, Google Plus's failure is your fault. That's
I like
what I'm
it.
saying. Everyone who complains about Google Plus complains that there's nothing happening on it, and then when I ask when's the last time you posted to it, they always say months ago. So
But
your
it's not.
fault.
It doesn't have that interactivity that Facebook has.
Because
At least
there's
in my
because no one's
well,
on it.
I know.
Exactly.
It's like being the lone person in a room with no one else.
Exactly. I mean,
Screaming.
it's a very hard hurdle to get over. Clearly, I mean, you want people to join it, but people don't join it because no one has joined it,
Right.
and then you have idiots like me who recognize this and are like, then I'm going to start using it and drag people into it, and then that just never happens because
Yeah.
it's like, well, every time I check my feed, all I see are posts from Jeff and no one else. So why would I use it if no one else is there except Jeff? And then I kind of become part of the problem because I'm driving people away by being the only thing they see when they go to Google Plus. It's a nightmare of a problem.
But honestly, if someone could come up with a TweetDeck-like application to unify all of the media.
Well, they did. There was an extension for Chrome that you can input, and I believe when you used Google Plus, it would pop up other buttons at the bottom,
Oh, really?
kind of like a tweet deck, where you can say post this here and to Facebook and to Twitter, and then it would post it out. But Google Plus, Facebook, and Twitter all hated that application because they don't want to be another cog in a larger wheel, from this company that's kind of puppet mastering them all. They want you to go to their destination.
Right. That's why Twitter cut. That's why Twitter cut all that kind of all those clients. They're like, oh, sorry guys. I mean, who else?
Right.
Who was it that did it with Yeah, I think it was Twitter when they did it with like the photo services.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
that's right. You used to be able to get pop-up images or like in line within your feed the Instagram photos, but once they were bought by Facebook, Twitter said no more because
You're out.
yeah, we don't, which I don't understand, like why punish your users that way? They're still going to use Instagram, they're still going to post them to Twitter. Why now make them leave your site in order to see these images? Which is ridiculous because honestly, if I'm looking at my feed on the web and I see like someone posted an image, I'm going to click and go away and then maybe spend a little bit of time looking around on Instagram when I would have just been looking at my feed in Twitter for a little bit longer had the image just been embedded. I don't know. And that's obviously clearly why I don't run a multi-million-dollar corporation. I don't understand how these things work, Although,
it's a pride thing.
It is.
Although I don't think Twitter has made any money yet, right? Isn't that?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think they're still working.
Although, you know what I have been noticing in my Twitter feed has been the "Would you like to promote this post?" So they're actually fishing for some ad dollars, much like Google. Or not Google, Facebook ad.
Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not paying for anyone to see my tweet.
Yeah, I'm sitting there going, man, what? I don't say anything that's worth anything anyway. So it's like, why would I put insult to injury by actually paying money
that
to
is
have nobody
good
read
money
it?
after bad. Or
Exactly. Just take my money.
I'd get a better return flushing money down the toilet than promoting one of my tweets, honestly, because then maybe the toilet will clog and I'll have to call a plumber and then I'll make a new friend. Whereas,
that's right. Someone to join you on Google Plus.
Right.
There you go.
Join me on Google Plus. All right, that brings us to the end of our second to last episode.
Wow.
Join us next week for our finale.
The big finale.
Yeah, but I want to thank you, panel members, for joining me today. This has been great.
Thanks, Jeff.
Where can our listeners find you on Twitter when you're posting about music, for instance? What are your handles? Throw them out.
At Dan Leadbetter, DanLeadbetter. You can find me.
All right. Lewis?
And at Luis Ramirez, LOUISRAMIREZ.
And I am at Sommerjam, SOMMERJAM. Listeners, for links to today's stories, the video version, and more, go to our show notes page. Also, feel free to send us feedback to podcast@dealnews.com. I'm Jeff Somogyi. Goodbye.